How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Infinite Sports. I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, to give you my Week 16 picks in the NFL while also recapping last night's epic Thursday night game between the Seahawks and the Rams. So let's get into that first. The Seahawks picking up the win in overtime, 38-37 in a wild game. It looked like the Rams were going to cruise to another win. Sam Darnold was turning the ball over. The Seahawks had 3 turnovers on the day. Rams didn't turn over the ball at all. So, to kind of put things into perspective with this game, so the Rams had almost 600 yards of total offense. They won the turnover battle. Okay, the Seahawks turned the ball over, like I said, 3 times to the Rams nothing. Right? And the Rams also possessed the ball for over 14 more minutes. Just over 14 more minutes than the Seahawks did. And the Seahawks still won. The Seahawks, between the fourth quarter and overtime, they outscored the Rams 24-14. And look, Matthew Stafford, even with this loss, he cements himself as the MVP, I think. I think there's no question about that. 457 yards last night, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Puka Nacua, who we'll talk about a little bit, had an unbelievable game, 12 receptions for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they were missing Devontae Adams. They did rush the ball for over 100 yards in this game, but there was never really any big gains from either running backs between Kyron Williams and Blake Corum. There was a lot of, short yardage gains. But the Seahawks, they ran the ball well last night, especially Kenneth Walker. Out of nowhere, Kenneth Walker, 55-yard touchdown. They ran the ball, the Seahawks, in total for almost 171 yards, or for almost 200 yards. They ran the ball for 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, one by Charbonnet and one by Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was averaging 9.1 yards per rush in this game. Where has that been all year? And the Seahawks are a team that loves to run the football. But this was an unbelievable game. The Rams were up 30-14 late in the fourth quarter. And you thought, yeah, this is going to be another win for them. And then all of a sudden, Rashid Shaheed runs back that punt return. They get the 2-point conversion. And then the Rams punt again. Seahawks go down the field. A nice play design by the Seahawks, a bootleg. Darnold finds A.J. Barner wide open in the end zone for another touchdown, and then they go for 2 again. Now, they go for 2, and it's an incompletion. It's ruled incomplete. But then all of a sudden, they review it, and they say, wait a second, that was a backwards pass, so that's a fumble, and Zach Charbonnet smartly picked up the ball in the end zone, and they ruled that that was a successful 2-point conversion then. But you go back and you watch the video, and you hear there was a whistle, so the play should have been dead. And along with that, they were getting ready to kick the ball back to the Rams, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Wait a second, no, this is actually a successful 2-point conversion because that was a backwards pass." So that was pretty confusing. And the Rams were pretty confused by that. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, talked about it. They weren't given a clear explanation as to why, that was the case. The play was essentially blown dead, and they were about to kick off. So all of a sudden, they're like, wait, no, it's actually a 2-point conversion when it should have been ruled right then and there. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. So, but Sean McVay afterwards, didn't make excuses. He was saying he wasn't trying to make excuses. It was just more of just, hey, like, we didn't get a clear explanation as to why they changed the ruling like that, like how it played out. So now all of a sudden it's a tie game. And then the Rams are lining up to kick a go-ahead field goal potentially towards the end of regulation, and it ends up being missed. And we go to overtime. And the Seahawks give the ball to the Rams. Rams take it right down the field. Stafford hits Puka Nacua for another touchdown. And it's 37-30. And then Sam Darnold makes his best throw of the night was, I think, down towards the sidelines to Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp making a great catch, and he had a fumble earlier in this game as the Seahawks were driving, which was a momentum killer. So that was a great play. That set up the touchdown to Jackson Smith-Njigba, who was non-existent in the first half, but he got it going in the second half, and he caught the touchdown. And then another great play call for the 2-point conversion. Tight end leaks out, catches the 2, and the Seahawks win 38-37. And now they're in first place. They got a chance to clinch the division and clinch the number 1 seed. If they control their own destiny now. And all of a sudden, the 49ers have a chance to maybe take over if they win out, because they play the Seahawks the final week of the regular season, and they're right behind them. So there's a lot of changes going on with this NFC West. This is the best division in football, because you're going to see 3 teams from this division make the playoffs. But yeah, this was an unbelievable game, and it's another blown lead by the Rams. I mean, the Eagles one was a lot worse, because that was a bigger deficit for the Eagles to overcome. I mean, it all happened so quickly last night. Shaheed runs back that kick return, and then the Rams punt again, and then all of a sudden, a couple plays, and all of a sudden the Seahawks are scoring a touchdown again, and then the game is tied. But yeah, and these are 2 very good defenses, and these teams are moving the ball up and down the field, especially, late in the game. But I think it's also because, both defenses were fatigued. And the Seahawks are missing some key guys in the secondary. Guys are going down even in the game as well. But yeah, I mean, I give Sam Darnold a lot of credit for this win last night, because when he threw those 2 picks, one of them was towards the goal line or near the end zone, and I'm sitting there going, "Yep, Sam Darnold can win you games, but doesn't look like he's going to be a guy that's going to take you very far." And then all of a sudden, now this was also a team effort, because the team rallied too. I mean, Shaheed running back that kick return or the punt return, that played a huge role in it too. But when this game was evened up, and Sam Darnold throwing that touchdown pass to A.J. Barner, and then the drive, the game-winning drive in overtime, that really showed me something from Sam Darnold. This was a big game for him to win. The Rams beat him up in that playoff game last year when he was starting for the Vikings, and obviously he threw 4 picks in the first meeting. He's thrown 6 interceptions this year against the Rams. It was 4 in the previous meeting, and then there were 2 more last night. So the Rams have kind of been a problem for him, but he locked in, and he got a monkey off his back. That was a huge win for him, and that should be a huge confidence booster for him and this team going forward. And again, I look silly because the Seahawks are one of those teams that I had just missing the playoffs again. And I like their roster a lot. I was all in on the NFC North this year. All in. And it looks like 2 teams maybe will make it, or potentially maybe even 1 team, depending on how these last 3, or 3 teams can make it. We'll see. And I had the Vikings winning the division, so, But hey, I did better in some other areas. But yeah, the Seahawks are one of those teams, as the season has gone along here, quickly I was like, hey, I made a big mistake here, not putting this team in the playoffs, because this team is loaded. I know the defense got shredded last night, but, they're going up against the MVP in Matthew Stafford. But that defense has a lot of talent. This offense has a lot of talent. And Sam Darnold's playing really good football. And he is a clear upgrade over Geno Smith. Because I think if Geno Smith is quarterbacking this team, they don't have 12 wins right now. They don't. So you got to give Sam Darnold a lot of credit. Give this team a lot of credit. And I've been saying, look, they got the team that could go all the way. It's going to come down to Sam Darnold. And if Sam Darnold could play like that, well, not, ignore the 2 picks, but how he played in overtime and towards the end of that game, in the second half, they are going to be a dangerous team. They are going to be a dangerous team. And if you got to go to Seattle, listen, teams had a problem doing that in the past when you had the Legion of Boom and Russell Wilson. But if you got to go back there again, yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. This team is dangerous. This team is dangerous. And the Rams, I'm a little worried with them because again, that's 2 games now that you should easily have won, and you just let the lead get away from you, and now they could be a wild card team. Now, I still think this team. I mean, I still have the confidence that this team can go all the way to the Super Bowl and win it, but these 2 losses to the Eagles and then to the Seahawks last night, that does leave a bad taste in my mouth. It makes me feel a little worried about them, but I still have confidence in them, and I have to because, look, I picked them to win the whole thing before the season started. Now, the other thing that I wanted to get into was the Puka Nacua situation. So Puka Nacua went on a stream earlier in the week and did an inappropriate gesture and had to apologize about it, and put the Rams kind of in a tough spot. Sean McVay had to talk to him about it, and that kind of created this whole cloud over the Rams, and even more so after the game too, because Puka made some comments on this stream also about the refs, and then he tweeted something minutes after the game and then took it down, and then Sean McVay is getting bombarded with questions over the tweet, and Sean McVay had no idea about it. And I felt bad for Sean McVay because he's getting put in a tough spot because he's like, I don't know what the situation is, so I can't answer questions if I don't know anything about this. And he just put him in a tough spot, and he said, believe me, we're gonna make sure that this gets taken care of. And I believe him because I don't think Sean McVay is going to put up with that stuff. But this is something that Puka is going to have to learn from. I think it wasn't the best for him to go on this stream, this live stream, when you have the biggest game of the year coming up. So he's going to have to learn from that. And again, you put your team in a tough spot. This team is trying to win a Super Bowl, and you're going and doing that, and then you put this black cloud over your team because of something you did, and then things that you've said on the stream, and then about the officials, and then you go and you tweet something about the officials afterwards, and then your coach has no idea what it's about because he's just coming off of a tough loss, and it kind of takes away from, and even the Amazon Prime crew were talking about it after the game. You're taking away from what a great game it was last night. So, yeah. And like I said, I believe that Sean McVay is going to take care of it. He's that kind of coach that's going to say, stop, can't do this. And supposedly, the individuals that Puka was with, they wanted to do it, they wanted to stream in the Rams facility. And Sean McVay said, no, that's not happening. So then Puka had to go to them. I think that's what ended up happening. So, yeah, not the best week for Puka Nacua, but last night, I mean, he balled out. But yeah, this is something he has to learn from, So, yeah, that wasn't a good thing to happen. But yeah, Seahawks pick up a win last night to go back to the game, and right now they're in the driver's seat for the division. And they take on the Panthers next week. And the Panthers are a weird team. I mean, out of nowhere, they could upset they beat the Rams a couple weeks ago. They could beat the Seahawks out of nowhere. And then all of a sudden, everything's level playing field again. And, the 49ers, if they went out, they have a chance. So it's going to be very interesting how this NFC West shapes out at the end of the year. But, yeah, and of course I picked the Rams last night. I was texting back and forth with people, and I was like, yeah, I mean, this looks like this could be the Rams' year. And then all of a sudden the Seahawks come back, and you're like, okay, that's maybe not when something like that happens. And it's happened twice now. Like I said, they've blown big leads. Like, you can't do that. So that's something that they're going to have to figure out. But, I mean, look, Matthew Stafford played as good of a game as you can play. So, but I saw something that CBS posted on their Instagram, and there was 4 quarterbacks this year that threw for over, they threw for over 450 yards and 3 touchdowns, and they all lost. It was Stafford, Jacoby Brissett, Flacco, and I forget who the other quarterback was. and they all lost. Like, that's crazy to think about. But Matthew Stafford, like I said, he's the MVP. He's the MVP. No question.